Okay, so let's go through the answers here now. So this one, what I would do for this one, first off, is since this is its own little fraction, I can simplify that first to make it easier. You don't have to. You could do it the way we've been talking about it and then simplify it at the end, but I'm going to cancel the 5 with the 5 right now. One of those y's with one of the y's in the bottom. Like I'm going to rewrite this as just 1 over y. That's all I'm left with, right? Minus 6y over 4. That'll just make it a little bit simpler, right? So now all we need to do is multiply both sides by, well, we need to figure out what the common denominator is going to be. I'm going to make it 4 times y. That'll be our common denominator. So I'm going to multiply this side by 4 on the top and the bottom. And I'm going to multiply this side, the right side of the equation, by y, because it's got to be 4y, and it's got to be a y up top. So if I do that, I can rewrite this whole thing as 4 over 4y minus 6y squared over 4y. And then if I had more room, that wasn't so silly, I could write this as 4 minus 6y squared over 4y. And then the last thing you probably want to do is factor out a 2 out of that, right, the top. So we can factor 2 out of there. So we can say that this would be 2 times 2 minus 3y squared over 4y. And now this fraction right here, 2 over 4, that can simplify to 1 over 2, right? So this whole thing again can just be written as 2 minus 3y squared over 2y. Notice that I can't cancel y squared with the y on the bottom because it's not in both terms. It would have to, the y would have to be in both terms there to cancel anything. All right, let's do 8. Okay, so again, what I'm going to do is cancel what I can first. I can see that that 4 and that's kind of easy pickings, right? And it's in the same term there, so I can cancel stuff off the bat. I can also cancel that x with one of these, so that would become x squared. So rewriting all this, we've just got 1 left up top, right? Because we canceled like everything up there. So we've got 1 over, and now that's just x squared in the bottom. Minus, I'm also going to cancel both those 6's to make things easy. I wouldn't need to, but you know, like I can. So let's do it. Let's make it easy. So this is just y over x. Now, a common denominator between x squared and x, well, that's going to be x squared. They both go into x squared. So I'm just going to make this all over x squared. That's going to be my denominator. Now, what did I need to multiply x squared to get to x squared? Well, 1, right? Or nothing. You can think about it. So I don't have to change the left term there at all. I did have to multiply the right side here, though. I had to multiply that by x. So I've also got to multiply the top by x. So this becomes, the top would just be 1 because I didn't do anything to this. So that's still just 1 up top. Minus, and now that's going to be x times y. And that's really all we can do. No more canceling from there. Okay, 9. So what we're going to have to do is make the common denominator is going to be n plus 1 times n minus 3. So I'm going to see if I can just do it here to save room. So think about those as being in brackets. I'm going to multiply the left one here. Both sides I'm going to multiply by n minus 3. I'm going to multiply the top also by n minus 3 because you have to. And then the right side here, I'm going to multiply by n plus 1 and the top by n plus 1. So if I rewrite all this, what I'm left with is 2 times n minus 3 plus 2 times n plus 1. And they were both over, right? Like this one and this one are the exact same. That was our common denominator. So I'm just going to write that out again. Just n minus 3 times n plus 1. And then we just need to simplify the top. So expand. So 2 times that, 2 times that, times that. So let's do that. We got 2n minus 6 plus 2n plus 2 all over n minus 3 times n plus 1. Saving room up here. We've got, I'm just going to collect my like terms. So I've got 2n and 2n is 4n. So 4n and then minus 4 over n minus 3 n plus 1. And now that's pretty much it. You could end up writing it again as, factor of 4 out of this and say 4 n minus 1 over n minus 3 n plus 1. But both would be correct. We can't cancel anything more than that anyway, so because n minus 1 and n minus 3 aren't the same there. Okay, so that's the answer. 10. Oop. Okay, our common denominator here is going to be p plus 5 times p minus 5. So let's put little brackets here again. I'm going to multiply the left side here by p minus 5 on the top and bottom. On the right, I'm going to multiply by p plus 5. Okay, writing this all out again, I've got 2 times p minus 5 plus p minus 4. Notice I put this in brackets too, just to make sure that this is one term, right? And p plus 5. All over p plus 5 times p minus 5. Notice that you can't just start canceling any of these like p minus 5. You might be like, oh, p minus 5 is there and p minus 5 is there. I can cancel them. It's not in every term, right? It needs to be, you'd have to have a p minus 5 here. You'd also have to have it somewhere in there to cancel. So you can't just go ahead and cancel it. Okay, if you keep going with this, let's expand. So expand that, and then, yeah, so we'll start doing that. So we'll have 2p minus 10, and then plus, and now I need to expand this whole thing. I need to FOIL this. So I've got, this would be p squared plus 5p minus 4p minus 20. So we're getting a lot of stuff happening now. And then p plus 5, p minus 5 still. Let's move this up here. So collecting our like terms, I've got 2p, I've got 5p and minus 4p. That ends up being, so 2 plus 5 is 7, minus 4 is 3p. We also had a p squared. I'll put p squared actually out front. We usually like to write p squared out front. So p squared plus 3p, and then negative 20 and negative 10 is negative 30 over p plus 5, and then p minus 5. And then if you could factor this, you might be able to cancel one of these things on the bottom, but we can't. You can't factor that one anymore. So that, again, that's as far as we're going to be able to go. All right, 11. So I'm going to multiply, our common factor here is going to be 5 times 2a minus 3. So that's what we want to get to. So I'm going to multiply the left side here. I need to multiply that by 2a minus 3, and also the top by 2a minus 3. On the right side here, I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. Okay, so what we're left with on the top now is going to be 4 times 2a minus 3 minus 5 times, and don't forget like the brackets here. It's really like this is in brackets, so 5 times a plus 5. Okay, expanding this, we've got, that times that, negative 5 times both of those things. Don't forget about the negative. So that would be 8a, it's a little lower. 8a minus 12, and then negative 5a, and then minus 25. all over 5 times 2a minus 3. Collecting my like terms, I've got 8a minus 5a, that's 3a. And then got negative 37 or minus 37 over 5 times 2a minus 3. And that's all we can do. Okay, this one, what we're going to do, what's going to make this a lot easier, is if we factor this first. So let's rewrite this thing as 3 over, I can factor out a 3x and then multiply by, and what I have left is just x plus 5. Now this is plus 6 over 2x. Now these ones I find students get a little bit confused by sometimes, because they might say, okay, well, I'm just going to multiply, like my common factor is going to be 3x times x plus 5 times 2x. And they just do it like that, right? And that would work. You could do this and make that your common factor and then like do the top, but it's going to get a lot more complicated than it needs to be. What I would do is make sure you have at least one of everything. So what I mean by that is look at your numbers first, look at the 3 and the 2, and say, okay, what would be a common factor for that? Well, common factor for 3 and 2, or common multiple, sorry, would be 6. So 6 is going to be what the bottom's going to be for the number part. And then I look at the next one, look at the x. So I'd say, okay, x and x. Well, x is common to both of those. So let's just put an x there. Not 2 like I had before. I had 2 different x's in there, so more than I needed to. And then the last thing that needs to be in there is this x plus 5. So that's also going to be part of my denominator. So x plus 5. So that's what my denominator is going to be. Now what I'm going to do is multiply both sides to get to this. So I'm going to say, okay, what do I need to multiply this by to get to this? Well, I would have to multiply that by, 2 for sure, because 2 times 3 would give me that 6. I don't need to multiply by x because I'm already there. I'm already at x. So that's really it. All I need to multiply this side of the equation by is just 2. So you're starting to see that it's going to get easier doing it this way, right? So multiply the top and the bottom by 2. And now the right side here, what do I need to multiply this by to get to this? Well, I need to multiply it by 3 to get to that 6. I already have an x there, so I'm good. And then I just need to multiply it by x plus 5. So x plus 5. And then probably just take this bracket out to save confusion. So just go times, and then the top by the same, 3 times x plus 5. Okay, so if we do that now, let's write what we have on the top. So in the top we're left with 2 times 3, so 6, plus, now this was 18, and I'll just leave it like this for now, 18 times x plus 5. Now let's expand the top here. So we've got 6 plus 18x plus 90 all over 6x times x plus 5. Now I can kind of tell these are all even numbers. I've probably got a common factor in there, but actually let's combine one more. I can combine the 6 and the 90. So we've got 18x plus 96 over 6x times x plus 5. And now the last thing that we can do here is I can factor a 6 out of the top here, right? So that's going to become, put this over here maybe, that's going to become 6 times 3x plus 16 over 6x times x plus 5. And then the last thing you can just, I keep saying the last thing, this is the last thing. You can cross out your 6's. So you got 6 in the bottom, 6 in the top, and then that'd be your answer. Notice that the answer is 16 plus 3x. That doesn't matter. I got 3x plus 16. Same thing. Same answer, right? Okay, so hopefully that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next lesson.